Okay, so this is verse 7 from the Bhaja Govindam.
Okay.
As a child, one is attached to play. As a youth, one is attached to young women or romantic desires. As an old person, one is attached to worries and anxieties. But no one is attached to the supreme Brahman, the ultimate reality.
He really covers the whole human experience there in those few lines.
Yeah.
It's like he's taking us on a whirlwind tour through life.
So let's unpack each of those stages a little bit.
Okay.
Sounds good. Starting with childhood.
All right.
Think back to when you were a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, what was more important than just like playing?
It's all you do, right?
It's all you do.
You eat, you sleep, and you play.
Exactly. And it's such a universal experience, right?
It really is, yeah.
Like every kid.
Yeah, but from the Vedantic perspective,
Oh, okay, interesting.
that playfulness represents...
Our early ignorance of deeper truths.
Okay.
We're completely absorbed in the physical world.
Yeah.
The toys, the games, the immediate sensations. Like,
Mhm.
we haven't realized yet that we're more than just our physical bodies.
So it's not that playing is bad,
No, not at all.
but it's like we're maybe missing something?
There's a deeper level that
Okay.
we're not quite aware of yet
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, like we're just kind of focused on that surface level.
No, exactly.
Very much so.
Okay, and then we move into youth.
Okay.
And those attachments shift
Yeah, big time.
pretty dramatically.
Yeah.
I mean, suddenly, those intense emotions,
Yes.
the longing for connection,
Absolutely.
and the
Yeah.
desire.
The romantic desires.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyone else relate to that out there?
I think we've all been there
Yeah.
at some point.
So at this stage,
Yeah,
the verse is pointing towards,
right.
what is it?
Comma.
Comma.
Which is essentially desire for pleasure.
Not necessarily.
Not that those are bad in themselves,
Right.
but they can keep us trapped
Okay, so
in seeking fulfillment
it's not that.
from things that are ultimately temporary.
Love and connection are bad, but it's like maybe.
It's about the attachment
Yeah.
to those things.
We can get so focused on it that we miss out on
Yeah, the bigger picture.
the bigger picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what Shankaracharya would say about modern dating apps.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think he'd have a lot to say.
So it's about recognizing
Yeah.
that, these desires are natural,
Mm-hmm.
but they can become obstacles if we cling to them
If we cling too tightly.
too tightly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got childhood,
Okay.
which is like attachment to the physical world,
Okay.
and we've got youth,
Yeah.
which is, the pull of desire.
The pull of desire.
And then we get to old age.
All right.
What happens then?
Well, this is where
What attachments do we carry?
Shankaracharya gets really interesting.
Interesting. How so?
He focuses on our attachment to the past.
Just past. Okay.
Regrets, missed opportunities,
Oh,
things we can no longer change.
that's heavy.
It is.
It makes me think about all those what ifs.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Like, will I look back on my life
Yeah.
and just be filled with regret?
And be consumed by the things that,
Yeah.
we can't go back and change.
So clinging to the past prevents us from
From being present.
being present.
Yeah.
So even though those regrets feel real,
Right.
they're actually keeping us from
From fully
living
living now.
in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're choosing to suffer.
We are, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over things we can't control.
Right. That's pretty profound.
It is. And it leads us to, I think, the most crucial part of the verse.
Okay.
The idea that despite all of these attachments throughout life,
Okay.
very few people seek Parabrahman,
Carabama.
the ultimate reality.
Okay, so we've got, these different attachments
Mhm.
at each stage of life.
Hmm.
But we're not really attached to this Parabrahman thing.
Right. It's almost completely absent
What is that?
from our awareness.
What is that, and why should we care?
Well, in Vedanta,
Okay.
Parabrahman is the ultimate truth,
Okay.
the underlying reality
think-
of all
Of
existence.
everything.
Think of it less as a god
Okay.
and more like the source of everything,
Okay.
the consciousness that permeates the entire universe.
Okay, so we've got play,
Mm-hmm.
we've got desire,
Yeah.
we've got regrets,
Regrets.
and then this all-encompassing ultimate reality.
this sort of ground of being.
It's a lot
Is a lot to take in.
to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
But the point that
I think the point
Shankaracharya is making is that
that realizing this ultimate reality,
Yeah.
this Parabrahman,
is what brings
is what brings true liberation.
liberation from what?
Well, liberation from...
Like, if we're talking about letting go of attachments,
Yeah.
does that mean we have to, give up everything?
Not necessarily,
No,
no.
become a monk?
It's not
Like
about
live in a cave?
abandoning our lives
Okay.
or rejecting the world.
Okay.
It's more about shifting our perspective,
Okay.
recognizing that true fulfillment doesn't come from clinging
Okay.
to these temporary things.
Okay.
You know, the toys, the desires, the past,
Okay.
but from connecting with something
Something deeper.
much deeper and more lasting.
So it's less about what we're attached to
Right.
and more about the clinging itself.
Yeah, the clinging itself.
Like we can still enjoy things
Absolutely.
without
It's about enjoying them without
hitting them.
control us.
Control us, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see
Mhm.
why this verse is considered so insightful.
Yeah, it really is.
It's not like a critique
Yeah.
of how we live,
It's more like an invitation.
but it's an invitation
To explore.
to explore
Yeah. A different way of being.
a different way of being.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot here
We have.
in this first part.
Yeah, we've laid a good foundation.
So why don't we take a little break
Okay.
and we'll come back and we'll
Sounds good.
explore this concept of Parabrahman
All right.
a little bit more.
Looking forward to it.
Me too.
Me too.
Okay, so we're back, and I gotta say, this whole concept of Parabrahman is really sticking with me.
Yeah, it's a powerful idea.
Yeah, like it's almost like Shankaracharya is suggesting that like beneath all the stuff that we, chase after in life,
Mm-hmm.
there's this deeper reality, this ultimate truth
Right.
that we're often completely missing.
Like we're so focused on the individual waves
Yeah,
that we forget about the vast ocean beneath them.
that's such a good analogy.
Yeah. It's a classic one for a reason.
But okay, so if this Parabrahman is so important,
Hmm.
why does the verse say that no one is attached to it?
Well,
That seems kind of pessimistic.
I wouldn't say pessimistic. I think it's more like a wake-up call.
Okay.
It's highlighting a tendency we all have
Okay.
to get caught up in the surface level of things.
Okay.
So it's not a condemnation,
Okay.
but an invitation to shift our focus.
So it's more like, hey, look what you're missing.
Exactly.
Then you're all doomed.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that better.
Yeah.
But how do we even begin to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to like intellectually grasp this concept of Parabrahman, but how do we actually like experience it?
Yeah. How do we connect with it?
How do we connect with
That's where the real journey begins.
it? Okay.
Vedanta offers a variety of practices
Okay.
to help us on this path.
Okay. Like what?
Things like meditation, self-inquiry, studying scriptures.
So it's not like you can just download an app and suddenly
just
you're
do some-
enlightened.
There's actual effort involved.
Definitely. It's an ongoing process
Okay.
of refining our understanding of ourselves and the world.
You don't become a master chef overnight.
Right, exactly. It takes practice. It takes practice, dedication. Yeah. Speaking of practice, one of the sources we have today mentioned this concept of Maya in Vedanta.
Oh, yeah. Maya.
Is that related to all this?
Absolutely.
How?
Maya is essentially the illusion of separation.
Okay.
It's the idea that we are all these like individual isolated beings
Okay.
struggling on our own.
So like we think we need all this external stuff
Right.
to make us happy
Yeah, because we feel this lack,
because we feel separate
this separation.
from everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We think fulfillment comes from accumulating possessions, chasing desires, clinging to the past.
Okay.
But Vedanta is saying that this separation is an illusion.
Okay, so
We're all interconnected.
we're all connected.
We're part of this larger cosmic web.
And if we could somehow see through that illusion,
Yeah,
maybe those attachments wouldn't have such a strong hold on us.
exactly. When we start to experience that interconnectedness,
Yeah.
we can begin to let go of those things
Okay.
that we thought were defining us and find a deeper sense of belonging and fulfillment.
This is all incredibly fascinating.
Yeah, it's really profound stuff.
But I have to admit, it's a little mind-bending too.
It is.
Like if we're talking about realizing this ultimate reality, this Parabrahman,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean we have to like renounce everything
Not at all.
and become monks?
It's not about
Give up all our worldly possessions and like live a life of solitude?
It's not about abandoning our lives or rejecting the world.
Okay.
It's about shifting our perspective,
Okay.
about recognizing that true happiness and fulfillment
Okay.
don't come from clinging to those external things.
So it's more about how we relate to those things
Exactly.
than about the things themselves.
Yeah.
Like, can I still enjoy a delicious meal?
Of course.
Can I still spend time with loved ones?
Yeah.
Can I still get excited about like a new gadget?
Yes, it's about finding that balance
Okay.
between engaging with the world and not letting those things define you.
Okay.
Think of it this way. You can appreciate the beauty of a flower
Yeah.
without feeling the need to possess it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like
Yep.
savor the experience,
Yeah.
but don't let it become your whole world.
Exactly. It's an ongoing process of awareness and growth.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy.
It's not going to be easy.
But the more we practice,
Yeah.
the more we cultivate that sense of detachment,
Mm-hmm.
the more freedom and joy we experience.
You know what's really striking me is how this one verse from Shankaracharya can spark so much reflection.
It really can.
It's like a little window
It's a doorway.
into a whole different way of seeing the world.
Exactly.
That's the power of these ancient teachings.
They tap into something fundamental about the human experience.
Yeah.
Something that transcends time and culture.
It's like no matter how much technology advances or how much society changes,
Right.
those core human desires, for connection, for meaning, for purpose,
They remain the same.
they remain the same.
We all want to feel connected, fulfilled.
Yeah.
And to find something that gives our lives meaning.
And this verse is like offering a path towards that.
Yeah, it's a guidepost.
This deep dive has really got me thinking about my own attachments.
Yeah, me too.
Like, what are those things that I'm holding on to so tightly
Mm-hmm.
that might be preventing me from experiencing something more profound?
That's the question we should all be asking ourselves.
Yeah. And it's not about judgment, right?
No, it's not about judging ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about honest self-reflection.
Okay.
What are those things that we define ourselves by?
Yeah.
What are we clinging to that might not actually be serving us?
Like taking inventory of our mental and emotional baggage.
Right. What are we carrying around that's weighing us down?
Yeah. And maybe letting go can create space
Exactly.
for something lighter.
Sometimes even just letting go a little bit can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling a sense of lightness just from like exploring this verse with you.
Me too.
It's like a weight has been lifted just by acknowledging those attachments.
The powerful stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that like even though life can feel complicated and messy sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
there's this like simplicity and beauty at the heart of it all.
I think so too.
It's almost like Shankaracharya is reminding us that like
Yeah.
we already have everything we need for true happiness.
Mm.
It's not about acquiring more,
It's about letting go.
but about letting go of what's holding us back.
Beautifully said.
That's a perfect segue into the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We've explored the attachments. We've glimpsed this concept of para-Brahman.
Right.
But what does it all mean for how we actually live our lives?
Yeah. The big question.
The big question. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back.
All right.
And I think the big question now is how do we actually like apply this wisdom to our everyday lives?
It's a great question.
It's one thing to like talk about para-Brahman
Right.
and letting go of attachments.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that actually look like?
In practice. Right. In
Very-
practice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Any suggestions for our listeners out there?
it goes back to that idea that this is a journey, not a destination.
Okay. So there's
So-
not like a one-size-fits-all.
Right. There's no quick fix.
Yeah.
There's no like 5 steps to enlightenment.
Right. Exactly.
But there are definitely some practical steps
Yeah.
we can take to start moving in that direction.
So where do we begin?
Well, one of the most powerful practices is cultivating mindfulness
Mindfulness.
in our daily lives.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be formal meditation,
Okay.
although that's certainly an option.
Sure.
It could be as simple as
Thank
taking
goodness.
a few moments each day
Okay.
to really pay attention to our breath.
Okay.
Notice the sensations in our body.
Okay.
Savor the taste of our food.
So like actually appreciating that cup of coffee
Yeah.
instead of just like mindlessly.
Right, just gulping it down.
Yeah.
Gulping it down. Yeah, while scrolling through emails.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about bringing that awareness
Okay.
to the present moment, even in the midst of our busy lives.
Yeah.
It's about noticing those moments when we're starting to get hooked
Okay.
by those attachments
Okay.
and gently bringing ourselves back to center.
It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Like becoming aware of those patterns
Mhm.
instead of just blindly reacting to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. What else?
Another practice that can be incredibly insightful is self-inquiry.
Self-inquiry. Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So
What does that involve?
it's about asking ourselves deeper questions
Okay.
about who we are beyond our roles,
Okay.
our identities, our possessions.
Okay.
Questions like, who am I without my thoughts?
Wow.
Who am I without my emotions?
Those are some deep questions.
They might feel a little uncomfortable at first.
Yeah, are we talking therapy session deep?
Maybe. It's amazing what can emerge When we start to peel away those layers
Okay.
of conditioning and limiting beliefs.
Like we're on an archaeological dig,
Yes.
excavating our true selves
Exactly.
from beneath all that stuff.
By the stuff we've accumulated
We've accumulated over the years.
over the years,
Oh.
yeah. And finally, I would say, don't underestimate the power of connecting with nature.
Getting out into the great outdoors.
Yeah.
Always a good idea.
It really is. Spending time in nature can help us feel more grounded,
Okay.
more connected to something larger than ourselves.
And that can help us loosen the grip
It can.
of those attachments.
Right, because we start to see that our individual worries and desires
Yeah.
aren't the whole story.
It helps to shift our perspective
Exactly.
and to tap into that sense of belonging
Yeah.
that ultimately brings true peace and fulfillment.
Mm.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
Yeah, it's been great.
I feel like I have a whole new toolkit
Yeah, new perspective.
for navigating life's ups and downs.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we have a choice.
We do.
We can choose to stay caught in the cycle of attachments,
Hmm.
or we can choose to seek something more profound and lasting.
It's up to us.
So it's not about achieving some perfect state of detachment,
Right.
but about making conscious choices
Yeah.
that align with
Align with our values.
our values, yeah.
And our aspirations.
And our aspirations, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, we've reached the end of our deep dive
Well,
into this incredible verse from the Bhaja Govindam.
it's been a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed exploring these ideas with us,
I've certainly enjoyed it.
and we encourage you to continue reflecting
Yeah, and keep
in
reflecting
your own attachments
on those attachments.
and how they might be shaping your experience of the world.
Yeah, it's a lifelong process.
What are those things that you're holding on to
Yeah.
that might be preventing you
What can you let go of?
from experiencing something more fulfilling?
Yeah.
What steps can you take today?
Right. To shift your focus and connect with that deeper truth within yourself.
I think that's a great question to leave people with.
The journey of self-discovery is an ongoing one.
Absolutely.
And every moment offers a fresh opportunity for growth and transformation.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.